All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, Mr. Timothy, young man. Look at you.
Oh, are you joking about my salt and pepper? I got it young, guys. I got it young. But hey, it's great to be back with Jared.
It's great to be back, and we're sorry about this. Like I'm like this big, and Tim's like mini Tim. I have to be like friggin' way back in order for us to be the same. But whatever, it's okay. So what are we talking about, man?
Oh, today's going to be interesting. We haven't done a podcast officially like this. Now, no one can say that we're the same person because you remember the comments on
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
is, "Are you Jared?" etc. Well, anyways, we're going to be talking about a couple things. Mostly, it's going to be about how AI is going to most likely affect what's called gaming, and a lot of people think it's negative, but we're going to be talking about that. We're also going to start off with Power World and how this small indie company has done its amazing things in 2 weeks since its launch, and I have some numbers for it. And then, Jared, yeah, I know you wanted to add a few bits as well.
So go ahead, man. Start us off.
All right. So first things first, I kind of wish Steven was here because Steven's he is a big time monster capture tamer genre gamer. He loves his Pokemon and some of the various like an Xmon and stuff like that. So Power World, and since 2 weeks since it's been released, let me give you some information. Steam, 12 million copies. And those are like Pokemon level sales here, guys. Xbox alone, which is an exclusive right now, 7 million players. So in 2 weeks, over 19 million players have joined this game. It is not really like Pokemon, but it has some similarities. First things first, it's a survival crafting game. So they're not even remotely close to being called the same genre. Obviously, Pokemon's a traditional turn-based RPG. It is, though, part monster capture, monster taming, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. It's the whole thing where you capture monsters. They're called pals, and you could use them on your on your team to fight. It's all real-time shooter kind of gameplay, so it's it's a little bit different. It's really basic a survival game, and you have your little pals. It could be your little servants. You could be really cruel to them, eat them, or you could be a nice guy. So that's the gist.
You can eat them?
Yeah, you could, because I'm pretty sure you're familiar with survival games. The survival games, you have to keep your stamina, your health, and your usually heat, sustained. Otherwise, your character could potentially die or get debuffed. So yeah, you can eat them if you choose to.
That's hilarious.
You could set them up. If you look at gameplay, guys, you could set up like semi-lines of them, and you could have them. They literally could work themselves to death. So this game was a meme at first, where they thought it was a meme because it took the whole Pokemon thing, and it's like, wow, finally a Pokemon's with guns. But that's the only similarity, is the whole capture mechanic. And it's set over 2 million concurrent Steam, which is insane. It beat PUBG's record. So yeah, it's amazing from the small little Japanese. They are Japanese developers, so there's a similarity with Nintendo in that regard. But Nintendo's officially taken notice, obviously, but
yes, yeah, okay, but you gotta go deeper than that. So first off, is it a paid game or is it free?
Oh, no, it's paid. It's early access. It's $26.99 USD,
Okay.
obviously regional. Go on Steam, or it's on Xbox Game Pass, by the way, for PC and console, as included in the service. So I get it for free. Oh, not free technically. You buy
Yeah,
it.
I get you.
But,
Okay, no,
yeah.
because that's important to lay the groundwork, right? Because otherwise, Steven's going to destroy you in the comments. He's going to write like a giant novel. Okay, so that's important. So it's like half the price of Pokemon.
Yes.
That's something to say. You're right about Nintendo. I mean, I saw that. It was actually Ahmed who sent me a text the other day, and he was like, well, that didn't take long. And because let's be honest, man, some of those characters, those pals, they look almost identical. It's like just like a color swap or like some little variation. When I first saw, I was like, oh man, they're gonna get creamed,
Hammered, right?
man.
Yeah.
Like,
And there's a little bit about there's a couple things about copyrights, trademarks, etc. So you cannot copyright gameplay mechanics. Otherwise, shooters, whoever owns the rights
That's
to
right.
shoot,
Yeah.
would be every game would be screwed, right? You have to pay royalties.
Yeah.
So you cannot copyright that. You cannot copyright some other various things, but you like let's Charizard, Pikachu, Bulbasaur, etc. are all trademark names. You can never use those names now.
Right.
Not all the Pokemon are trademark names. So in theory, Pal World can have let's see. Let's say for argument's sake, Snorlax. I'm pretty sure it's trademark. Wasn't. They could have a Snorlax name in their game as long as it doesn't look like Snorlax.
Exactly. And
exactly.
Dude, you're talking to a guy right now who has been living and breathing this with my tech company. Because
so you're very familiar with the way.
Oh yeah, very familiar. Like our logos, our colors, we're even applied for an industrial design. So an industrial design works a little bit different than a patent. That could be like, think of like, okay, what game? I don't have a game that comes to mind, but let's say someone patented, like when you not patented, sorry, it's not a patent. But let's say they applied for when I press the start button, a menu pops up that allows me to do X, Y, or Z. If you were the first to do that, you could have applied for an industrial design, which works very similar to a patent and would protect you from anyone else doing that. Now, of course, in video games, no one has done that type of thing. But where it gets tricky, where it does get tricky, is if the characters are oh, there's the apple. There's the apple. Like, I think that's this, right? Like, if I go like this, hold on. Yeah, there.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
But yeah, it's like if a character is close enough to another character, and that character, even if it hasn't been patented, but that other character represents the trademark that you hold, you still could be in hot water. And where you live, is the litigation capital of the world, right?
Yes. And I was going to add to that too. It's called the squint test in legal terms. Basically, is Tetris company sued a mobile app that had virtually identical visuals. They didn't get them on gameplay. Again, you cannot copyright gameplay. They had exact. The judge like, no, gameplay, whatever. That we're here. What we want to see is can a person look at your visuals and tell that exactly. So they couldn't. It didn't pass what they call the squint test. So you had to squint. Oh, there's not enough. Basically, if it looks so identical, and it doesn't pass, and a normal person cannot tell the difference, then you're in big trouble.
Yeah. So it's going to be. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens here, because when Ahmed first sent me, he did it on purpose, right? So he sent me the ones that were like the closest to the Pokemon ones, and I was like, but they have like guns and stuff, and I was like, what the hell is this? But when I looked more into the game, I was like, okay, it's not a Pokemon like ripoff. It has it has monster taming components to it, but like you said, it's like this whole other thing. So I'm gonna really be curious to see like how that plays out. Like, I'm really, really curious. But what's cool with this is it does go to show that there is a lot of love for just that look, that style, that feel sort of thing. And I mean, there's a reason Pokemon is as big as it is, right?
Right. Yeah, 100%. And we were discussing in chat is that's another topic we'll kind of brush on is the future of gaming. Not besides the AI is like Nintendo, man. Does their stockholders not say, "Hey, look at Sony getting into PC gaming. We could make imagine if Pokemon was released on Steam, dude. Imagine the records you would set.
Yeah, sure.
People would eat that up, right?
It's but not. I don't disagree, but there's no reason for like stakeholders to care right now, just because it sells so much.
Yeah, it's true.
You know,
but there's
like
always more.
Yeah, there is, but it's Japanese, right? Like, they're not American, and like
true.
They're not as like. I'll never forget like Iwata, right? Like when the Wii U was like doing bad, like he was just like right away. It was like, no, we're cutting all the executive salaries and stuff. We failed. That would be very rare to see in North America.
Oh yeah,
Like-
that's a whole podcast in its own. Yeah, and I love that mentality. Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, even Japanese, if they might have a different business model, they're still a business, and a potential revenue of income would be very attractive for them.
Yeah, but I
mean,
just-
Sony.
I just
Look at Sony, dude.
yeah,
They've
yeah, but
abandoned
there's a
Japan.
huge difference between those two companies. I
Yeah.
think it's like if you saw Nintendo, let's say like Nintendo made like the Wii U 2, let's say, right? And then they made the Wii U 3 and the Wii U 4, then I think then they would start to look at like, okay, maybe we got to look at like alternatives. But these guys are making so much money. You look at their
Yeah, they are.
financials, they're making more than Sony. They're making more than like not necessarily the whole corporation, but like the video game aspect. And it's like Xbox too, man. They're bleeding money again. And it's so weird. Like when I look at Microsoft, it's so weird. It's like you bought the planet. You know,
And
you
they-
literally bought the planet and you're still bleeding money left, right, and center. But
Well, I think
for them, I'm convinced that we're gonna see an Xbox app on the Switch 2,
Oh, guaranteed,
on
guaranteed.
everything.
And that's why you think they're investing heavily into their own ecosystem, because they know the future is not hardware. You remember Sony said this some years ago, Matt, about 10, 15 ago, they said that their ultimate goal is the PlayStation to be a platform like Steam. Hardware is not the future. I mean, we've discussed this many times.
Yeah, the
and
thing
they're
with them,
100%
dude,
right.
the thing with them that's always perplexed me is like, what took so long?
Exactly. They're a little bit late to the game.
Yeah,
dude.
big
And-
time. Like they're
Yeah.
really big time late to the game. What Microsoft is doing yes, I know for a lot of people when they look at like the hardware sales and stuff, they get all confused, but they're doing the long game strategy, and I seriously think we're going to get to a point in the next 5-10 years where you will have that Xbox logo on every television you buy,
Right.
every phone, every whatever. Because, and I want to talk about that. It's one of the topics I want to talk about, but we'll do your AI thing first. I want to talk about like just the radical evolution of hardware that we're experiencing right now, and my own little experience that I've had, and how I don't know what the hell the future is going to look like. But anyways, we'll get to that after. So what's this? Well, do you have anything else about Pal World?
Well, it's going to tie into the AI part that we'll talk, and we'll progress there. So we can switch gears, guys, to AI. And I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments, because this is a very hot topic right now. Because Pal World, as you see, those numbers don't lie. A huge, massive success.
Yeah.
And the developers have been very transparent. They've said that they've used AI to design their monsters. And the ridicule, I mean, people just been hammered because of that. It's just like the whole thing about how artists are very upset right now that there's quote unquote artists that just basically use AI to create beautiful art. They don't feel it's right because it's not talented, etc. That besides the point.
Yeah.
That's your own opinion. That we don't. It's up to each individual. But AI is changing the future, guys. I work for a tech company, a real big tech company, and they said the next 5 years, 80% of developers are going to be replaced by AI. That's astonishing. It makes us worry. Me being in the IT field, it's like, wow. So what's going to happen? And if you look out through history, new techs come, new positions are created, et cetera, et cetera. But AI's is here to stay. It's not going away, and I don't see the negative for it. If it makes these small indie developers, because you have to remember, it costs like let me use Blizzard's new mobile game, Warcraft Formula. There's an estimate it costs them about $10 million a year to make. They have about a team of 80 people. So imagine if they could cut that, have a team of, let's say, 5, I'm exaggerating, and mostly use AI, they're saving a substantial amount of money. So it's really good for the small guys, even for the big guys, right? Because it takes millions to make these. It's like Hollywood production for these games. So in the investment and return, that's why games are flopping. That's another thing too. Is gaming industry is in a really weird state right now. You see these games that are scams. These games that they try and they fail quickly. They're saying a second crash is coming, or a new crash is coming. But
they've been saying that forever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it has record sales. So who's to believe? What is your thoughts on AI, though? Do you think it's bad
Okay?
for the
Well,
gaming
first
industry?
off, the company I have is an AI company.
Oh, little biased.
There you go. No, but so like what I'm working on a home management solution where right now when you think of like virtual assistants, like your Siris, your Alexas, your, whatever, what do? Oh, they can turn on a light, or, oh, they can, play my favorite song or whatever. But when your fridge breaks, they can't really do anything. And so, like, what we're doing is we're collecting all of the information of the home. We're SOC 2 compliant, so we're not like pervs and selling your stuff to like the highest bidder and all of this. But conceptually, the idea is like if your fridge were to break tomorrow, you'd be able to say like, "Hey, Eva, the fridge just broke." She checks to see it's no longer on warranty. Can then say, "Oh, here's 6 models that are around the same feature set as yours. Do you want me to order one?" If you say yes, she'll give you a drop down of which ones. You tap the one you want, everything else is done. Because she has access to the calendar, she can see when you're going to be home, when you're not going to be home, schedule the delivery and everything, send out emails, all of it. And so that's just one example of where AI can help. Now, of course, we can be the doom and gloom, right? Like you can say, "Oh my goodness, someone can like hack and take over the world and yada yada yada." But much to what you were saying earlier, it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And people flipped out when the calculator came. People flipped out when the introduction of the PC happened. People have been flipping out since there were people. Like when the stone was, like the wheel was invented, probably they were like, "Ooh," like freaking out and stuff like that. But realistically, it's how we use these things, right? So one of the things that I disagree with is bringing actors that are dead and stuff like that back to life through AI without their consent. If you give your consent, so if you, as Tim, you sign and say, "Yes, I agree that my voice, my likeness, my whatever can be used for future creative purposes," all good, man. Like, then I shut up and I'm good to go. What I don't like is when they start to do that without people's consent. Because then it's like, okay, that's, number one, creepy to do that kind of stuff. And number two, it's just like, to me, it's wrong. Like, that's not right to do that. But in the context of gaming, I mean, we've been using procedurally generated Diablo has been procedurally generated since day one. And of course, this was not AI as we know it sort of today. But I mean, if you're going to use it in a way that's effective, like the way I think of it is like if you're designing like a Skyrim, right? So you're designing this like open world sort of thing, the AI might be able to completely map out all of the roads, all of the trees, the hills, the stones, the whatever. It can design them. It can literally add the bitmaps to it. Like it can do everything.
Yeah,
and
it's
that, yeah, exactly. It's a tool. And so like in that context, I have nothing wrong with that. Like for me personally, I know we're probably going to get people coming in and being like, they're taking away jobs. But again, I've heard this argument my whole life. I've heard this.
Exactly. Yeah, it's AI's here to stay. If like anything, it could be a powerful tool, especially for the little guys. Because we all think about the big like guns, Microsoft. You know, they have deep pockets.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, guys. Xbox, if it was a small company, they would have been belly up years ago.
Well, yeah.
Microsoft, I don't think it's made any. They've lost by the first Xbox. Forgot its name. It's been so many years. It lost so much money for that company.
Well, Xbox, the original Xbox.
Original Xbox.
Yeah, the original Xbox.
If that was any other company, it would have been gone. It would have been done. But people don't realize that Microsoft has a lot of resources, and they're like you see, they see the future. They see long term.
Yeah, I think what happened with Microsoft, like, look, forget about Microsoft like as a whole. There, like it is very unfortunate what happened to that company, and it is unfortunate. They lost so much off the original Xbox. Xbox 360 comes out and just surprised everybody, right? Like to this day, that controller I think is my favorite video game controller ever. Even the tweaks of like, here, this guy, I think this is an Xbox One controller. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a Series X that I use on my computer. It's not as good. Like, it's not as good as the 360. It was like, I would have just copy and pasted that. And anyway, whatever. But like when Xbox One came out, they never have recuperated from that. Like that whole thing with the Kinect and the whole thing with, like we're going to be the future of entertainment and blah, blah, blah. And then, what was it? Xbox Series X. Like that is an unbelievably powerful console, man. Like it's unbelievable. And it just, I think I might be lying to you guys, but I think it's being outsold by the PS5, like something like 3-1.
Yeah,
something like that. And that's sad.
Yeah, it is. Then Microsoft said you don't even need to buy the console, but
well, it's just like I get it now. Like I get their strategy is like, okay, well, if our number one competitor is fighting us 3-1, like we got to do something else, right? Like, we have to. And during the Xbox One era, I think it was 5-1, something like that. I'm sorry if I'm lying. And now with like PCs, it's even, that's part of what I want to talk about is like things are changing so drastically that like I'm happy. I'm happy that they have their platform, like the Xbox Game Pass and stuff. Like I think that's really good. You pay for Ultimate, you get it on PC, you get it on Xbox. But I'm really hoping, show me that on another console, and that could be really something. And I know the fanboys are going to be all up in arms. They're going to, flip out over all of this. But it's like, I don't see a future where the hardware remains the way it is. Like it's. And
that's the thing is, people don't realize that everyone has a phone. Mobile is getting to the point where it could almost get, it's obviously never going to be the same quality, but it can do some respectful visuals, dude.
This is what I wanted to talk about, segueing into artificial intelligence. Okay, so there's two things. So one, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to use any VR headsets. Apple just, whatever, their spatial computing, basically their VR headset was released on Friday, and a buddy of mine who's working with artificial intelligence as well, dude, it would blow your mind, man. So like imagine this. So you put on, I don't care what it is, okay? I really don't give a crap what headset, just whatever, some kind of VR headset, and you're watching a movie, right? So right now the movie is 2D, right? So like it's a box living in your three-dimensional space. Okay. These guys are using AI to put the lens, if you will, inside the frame. So what happens is the 2D pane, like that you're seeing, that becomes what you see in front of you. So like if it's an interior shot, you can do this and see the roof. Yeah. You can go like this and see the wall that's not in the frame continue behind you. So you are literally inside that particular shot. That is unbelievable, amazing. Man.
Yeah, unbelievable. And it's like I know VR right now is kind of gimmicky. It's in infancy. It's it's not quite there. There's some actual good to VR games, believe it or not. But the problem is accessibility, right? It costs a lot for a decent setup, etc. Besides the cost, when that comes down, it'll help, open up to mass markets. But look at the AR augmented reality games like Pokemon Go. Capcom released a Monster Hunter version of theirs, so that's been kind of a success. Look at how much money Go has made. So imagine the future Call of Duties where you don't have to be strapped to a keyboard, mouse, or controller. You move, your character moves, look up, etc., etc. You can even do ducking. So yeah, the future's we're not quite there, I don't think, for that kind of immersive technology.
I know,
but it's coming.
But it's coming, and that's the point. And like Disney, I don't know if you saw, they released this mat. They showcased this.
Yeah, I saw that.
Dude.
Things are changing.
And this is getting crazy. It's like you could literally be the character in a first-person environment, actually walking. Now, this would be exhausting, right?
Exactly.
Like, I'd play for like 20 minutes and I'd be like, all right, I'm done. Go back to my Nintendo. But it's cool, man. Like, it's really cool. But I want to go into the hardware stuff because I think this is really, really interesting. So, you mentioned your phone, right?
Right.
Now, I don't I don't want to say like, oh, it'll never be the same, blah, blah, blah. Like, we don't even know what the hell is going to happen. Like, if you would have told me when I was a child, literally this would be able to play a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 game, I would have said you're out of your mind. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Out of your mind. And yes, frame rate issues and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But the ARM architecture that are in these phones right now, I mean, Intel is running into a problem where, like, they don't know how to make their chipsets stronger. That's crazy to me. Intel.
Yep.
Intel is like basically now, oh crap, like, what are we going to do? I don't know if you saw the benchmarks with a Snapdragon, but dude, this is crazy. Like, Microsoft's getting to a point now where they're watching closely that development.
They are. Yes, exactly.
Because they're like, if we release, we want to make sure we got Windows ready for that architecture. Because if that takes off, because dude, I don't know when's the last time you used, have you used an Apple Silicon laptop?
Oh yeah, at work. I'm on an M1. We're getting M3s in and M2. So yeah,
dude, they last forever.
Oh yeah, they're great. They're silent. They use less. They don't get as hot, by the way.
Exactly.
The Intel, and they're great. They're really, really good.
It's crazy. Like, when I got my first one. So my first one was an M2 MacBook Air.
Oh,
okay,
it's nice M2.
Yeah, and I was just absolutely floored. Like, with the just the amount of power it had, how long it lasted, and to your point, there's no fans.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought I thought the thing was going to be on fire. and like it. I mean, it gets a little warm, but it doesn't get,
nowhere near. Yeah,
no, exactly. Nowhere near. And at work, I take it and I have a studio display. That's a 5K monitor, man, plugged in all day.
Did you get the $1,000 stand too?
No, I didn't. No, I don't need that.
Oh man.
But dude, like a 5K monitor, and it barely gets warm.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But take that tech, take an external GPU with that kind of horsepower. I don't know what the hell is, like, where are we going, man? This is going to get crazy. You take a Nintendo Switch with one of these chips. Damn, man.
Well, yeah, there's rumors that the next Switch 2, whatever they're going to call it, might be ARMS. Well, like we said, we'll wait and see. I hope, but
because if it is, dude, that's going to be unbelievable. That's going to just be unbelievable. Like, the next gen iPhone and the next gen Androids on the Snapdragon are going to literally be able to play PlayStation 5 games with HDR and with ray tracing already. For the first time, like, I downloaded Death Strand. Is that it? Death Stranding on.
Death Strand?
Yeah, Kojima's game on the iPhone and the Mac and everything else. And I just couldn't believe this. Like, I was like, this is a mobile processor, man, that is playing. Yeah. Like, this is...
And it makes you wonder, too, because obviously we know the Switch was old tech when it was released. They've always been behind. They decided after GameCube, we're not going to compete on the hardware. We'll just do our own gimmicky crap. And
I love the way gimmicky crap. They've sold like hundreds of millions.
It's true. At least with the Switch, you have a Pro controller. But no, besides their gimmicks and stuff, is Nintendo needs to think, and I hope they're thinking, is now mobile phones can be better than them. So why would I buy a Switch when I have this vast device that has substantial larger what's it called, library than the Switch ever was?
So this is interesting. Okay, this is actually a very interesting topic, and we got to get Steven on one of these things.
Oh yeah,
just so he can argue, because he loves arguing.
You know him.
but this is an interesting topic, and look, people are gonna buy Nintendo stuff no matter what. Yeah. Like I have no doubt it's gonna be successful. Will it be as successful as the Switch? I have no idea. But phones, like, how do I say this? When the PlayStation Vita came out, Sony basically killed it themselves, right? Like, it didn't take off immediately, and they were just like, okay, we're done. And they blamed it all on cell phones. They were like, all the mobile market's here. People are just going to play mobile games, yada, 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 and away we go. Then Switch came out and bitch slapped everyone in the face and was like, oh yeah, well, mobile's already out, and yet here we are. And I think it was brilliant, that concept of like, yes, you can take it on the go, get a full, true PlayStation Vita. Like, I'm giving kudos to PlayStation Vita because that was the intention. The intention with the Vita was take a PlayStation 3 on the go. That was the whole concept behind that, was like to have true console gaming on the go. And Nintendo literally did that. They 100% did that. But they proved that there was a market for that outside of the mobile market. I mean, the mobile market is as big as it's ever been, right?
Vast, yeah.
But this is interesting. That, like, your comment there is really, really interesting, because something has happened that I'm sure you're not paying attention to. I'm not paying attention to, but Ahmed again, he sent me some information on the PlayStation Portal. And I was like, what the hell's the PlayStation Portal? So I looked it up, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this stupid thing. And it was like, it's basically a Switch, but, you know, like PlayStation style, except it's, okay, now guys, fanboys all over the world, hear me out. I don't have this exact, I don't remember. I think you need to be on the local Wi-Fi. I think, please don't murder me if I'm wrong. If you can be in a hotel or whatever, I'm sorry. I don't think so, but maybe I'm wrong. Either way, you need to have a PlayStation 5 in order to use this device. That I know for a fact. So it's basically a screen with the sides of the controller. And
oh yeah, I saw that.
It streams your content to your display, and you play your games. I thought, no joke, if we were doing podcasts back then when this was announced, I would have proudly proclaimed this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, I was like, what kind of moron thought of this? Okay. And then Ahmed sends me another text, and it is sold out worldwide.
Wow.
Now,
I'm surprised.
Yeah, me too. And now, I mean, there could be many factors. It could be a low production run. It could be, it could be a million.
Correct, yeah.
It could be a million things. But this has got me thinking of, like, what if it isn't low production? Like, what if it's like reasonable production run, not like, tens of millions or whatever? I'm wondering if Nintendo may have actually just reopened that sort of like portable hybrid, whatever market. Like, I'm actually wondering if it's the opposite of what you were saying of like, like the mobile thing. Like, I'm wondering if now, like, could we actually see a resurgence in this kind of hybrid? Because look at what's come out. The Steam Deck. I don't know if you ever picked one of those up, but
no, I'm a true PC guy. I wouldn't want to play my PC games because a lot of PC games I play are strategy games, like the X, 4X and strategy and other stuff. Some first person. I would to play it on the controller. You would be limiting yourself. That's an argument I have a lot of people because I think keyboard mouse for like shooters is way better than controller, even with the the auto assist. But you remember Steven always says, I don't want to learn PC. The
No,
controller's too
yeah, I
intimidating.
mean,
You could do a controller, Steven, and it's a virtually identical to your console experience. But
but no,
that's a
dude, I got a Steam Deck because I wanted to take some of my Steam collection on the go. And I mean, like, to me, Steam is the ultimate
yes,
sort of. Everyone should be copying Steam. That's the way I
yes,
see it. Because games I bought like 20 years ago are still there.
yep.
Like,
And then hopefully, still in 20 years, they'll still be there.
yeah, I
So
hope
Steam
so.
doesn't go belly up.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't. I really doubt that. I mean, yes, I can't play them pretty much anymore because there's like the hardware's changed so much now
Right.
that, like, there's other problems, but Steam itself is not the problem. You
No.
know, and dude, like, I wish I remember the guy's name. I can't remember his name. Excellent channel on YouTube, and he did these videos showing like how to install, because it's a Linux box, okay? How to install your Steam games that not Steam games, sorry, how to install Blizzard games on the Steam Deck, including WoW and everything else. And I was like, get out of here! Like, no way. And sure enough, I was playing Diablo 4 on the Steam Deck. Yes, it sounded like a jet engine because it was like, it's not supposed to be running on that. But I don't know. I just more and more, I'm really wondering, like, are we starting to see this like new category popping up of the kind of like this hybrid thing? And dude, I got here. Hey, this is funny. It's like show and tell day today. So
Nice.
you see what this is? It's in a case. But do you see? Have you ever seen this?
Oh no, but is that like that?
Here.
It's like a kind of. And while you're doing that, FYI, Steam Deck. You know how console creators love to prize about their launch time. Oh, that's so awesome! Steam had thousands upon games on day one. No system's ever done that, but it's a little bit cheating, I guess. But
No, but
that's
still.
so cool.
So dude, like this
This
is
looks
the
cool.
analog pocket. Okay.
Oh, so it's like a Game Boy Advance kind of.
Yeah, so it plays every single portable ever made.
Oh wow, nice.
So the way they do it is like there's these little adapters that you put in when you buy it, it plays all the Game Boy collection. So Game Boy, Game Boy Color,
Nice.
Game Boy Advance, all carts will just automatically fit in. You can buy adapters for Game Gear, the Lynx, TurboGrafx, what else?
Turbo.
Any
Haven't heard that for years.
any portable that you could think of, it's like there's an adapter. I think there's even Neo Geo Pocket Color. Like, you
What
can
about
buy.
Sega Game Gear? You remember that?
Yeah, no, that one I have. That one's already
Awesome.
here. So, anyways, what's so cool with this is, guess what? There's a dock. So you just put in your dock, boom, 1080p to modern day displays. And Analog's new one, which is really crazy. They have a Nintendo 64 that they're releasing, 4K, man. It outputs 4K. But anyways, we're getting way off track. Going back to the sort of, like the Switch 2 and all of this, if they do put in an ARM architecture like into that, man, that could get really, really interesting, because the PC master race, I think, is still going to be here for a while. I don't see it. I don't
PCs
see
aren't
it.
going anywhere.
I don't see it going away, but things are dramatically changing now,
Yes. 100%.
because if Intel cannot improve their chipset, the whole industry is going to switch to ARM-based
Oh, yeah.
chips. And then you'll still have your dedicated GPUs, but then we'll have a whole new problem, which will be, how the hell do we get the pipe that connects the ARM chip to the GPU in such a way that we can maximize the horsepower there. And this was one of the things I thought was really interesting. Apple, the only reason I switched to this iMac is because all my PC stuff is so damn big. It's huge.
Yes, yes.
And now I've got this little 24-inch iMac that is running circles around my gaming PC, man.
That's amazing. Too
And
bad Macs don't have good support, but you could always run what, Boot Camp or something like that.
no, so
Parallel
now
video.
now I run Parallels. That's what I do. So
Yeah.
I run an emulation sort of like screen, if you will, over it. The only it's not perfect, but one of the things with Apple, what I don't understand is, I know they just released this I can't remember what it's called, but basically you can compile Windows and DirectX games on a Mac through this, whatever the hell it's called.
Oh, no.
So next year or the year after, I'm expecting to see, because this is one thing where I don't understand with Apple. It's like, you have such a powerful ecosystem, use it. You know, like
Yeah,
for
exactly.
gaming, just use it. It's like, yeah, okay, you're not going to get your Cyberpunk playing at, 2,000 frames per second and 19K resolution and whatever. But it's like, to the overwhelming majority of people, they don't give a rat's ass about
No,
that.
they don't.
You know? And the other thing is, GPUs have gotten out of control. The prices?
Yeah, especially during the pandemic, man, it was ridiculous.
It was
how much
ridiculous.
they were.
This
Yeah.
is why I got this computer. This whole computer, maxed out, totally maxed out. Everything was cheaper than a graphics card.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Luckily, they've come down a little bit, but yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's totally
there's
ridiculous.
There's only two NVIDIA and what's it called?
AMD.
AMD are really the only two ones that make it. Oh, Intel's actually, they really haven't. I don't know if they'll take up, but Intel's into the making their graphic cards now. Too. The more competition, the better.
Intel's got to do something, because I know that they're
big
freaking out. Like that, like they cannot improve. And like they're really screwed. And what's happening now with Snapdragon and with Apple is, like, the diodes are getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. I mean, we're at what, 3 nanometers now. Like, this is getting insane. And it's like, I understand with the Switch 2 or whatever they call it, 100% it's going to be based on older tech. Like, there's no
guaranteed.
Yeah, guaranteed, because they're not going to spend that kind of cash. But there's rumors circulating now, and again, these are rumors, so whatever. But there are rumors circulating saying that, is Sony actually going to start looking into, forget what it's called, but like a PSP 2? Because rumors are stating that they started to ramp up their R&D department outside of the PlayStation 6. So, I don't know. I really don't know. But if you would have told me that 2 years ago, I would have said you're crazy. But now, but with the success of the Portal, with the success of the Switch, with the success of the Steam Deck, and even the Steam Deck, they just updated that like a couple months ago. I don't know, man.
It's going to be interesting. The thing is Sony's, like, if you look at history, Sony's handhelds have not been a huge success. So there's that, but maybe like you said, things are different. Other thing too is we have to remember is that I don't think the Switch 2 is going to be selling. If you look at Nintendo's record, they have a huge hit, then huge, so they go up and down a lot. I'm telling you one thing: if the Switch 2 is a flop for them, I don't know, man. I don't know if Nintendo, by then, the next gen after that, I don't know if they can work. We keep saying this, and this company never goes away, right? But I don't know if they can get. I don't think console hardware's. I know console people are gonna eat me alive. But consoles are. I don't know how much longer we're gonna have a true dedicated console. I don't think it's gonna be that long.
It's so, like, I'm so conflicted on this, right? Like, personally, I'm so conflicted on this, because if, number one, and I know this from my company, hardware sucks. Okay, like, going into hardware sucks, because it is so expensive with the inventory you have to keep, distribution channels, all of that. Software, easy peasy, costs us nothing. Like, it's that's the way to go, boys and girls. So, like, with Nintendo or Sony or Microsoft or Sega or Atari or whoever, it's like, people don't really understand, like, how costly a mistake, not even a mistake, how costly a failure is.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, it is so expensive. Now, Nintendo has a gajillion, bajillion, magajillion dollars. So those guys, like I said, I'm not worried about them. I
No.
think Switch 2 will likely be I think it'll still be a success, but my just gut feeling, not based on anything, is it'll probably be something like a Super Nintendo, but not. I don't think you're going to see a huge fall. Where like NES compared to SNES, that was a huge fall. It wasn't a failure, of course, but it was still a significant dip. I don't think you're going to see a huge dip, but I'd be very surprised if it's as successful as the Switch. And it's only because unless there's another pandemic, like there was a lot of stuff
Yeah, that helped the Switch.
that
Exactly.
that really like because Animal Crossing, right? One of the highest selling video games in history because of the pandemic. Like, and that
Yeah.
sold a ton of Switches and stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. But I do think it's going to be successful. I do. I think Nintendo's got a good formula here. The fact that they no longer have two development teams, one for their portable, one for their console, everything is now centralized. But, and I've said this since the beginning, from a business standpoint, this is dangerous. Because, all right, boys and girls, business lesson. Every company within every company you try, if you can, to create a safety net. So a safety net is like another business that you have. It doesn't have to be a separate entity, but it's like something else you do in case your bread and butter, for whatever reason, goes belly up. And what was so good with Nintendo is if you look at their history, it's what saved them multiple times. When the N64 didn't perform as well as they wanted, that was in 1996. What franchise hit in 1996? Pokemon. And it was a worldwide phenomenon that brought them more cash than they could possibly imagine. So even with the N64's dip, they were breaking bank, man, on the Game Boy Color, all of that. Same with the GameCube. When the GameCube came out, which was even lower than the N64, Game Boy Advance sold gajillions of copies. And they've always had that. They've always had that sort of give and take. But this time,
Do you think the movies, though? So getting into movies, look how big that movie.
Exactly.
I think their movies are next nest egg.
well, that's what I'm
safety net.
saying. Dude, that's exactly what I'm saying. Is like, they've got to keep doing that. They've got to keep doing that just in case something doesn't work out. But I don't think it's going to be Switch 2. I don't think so. I think Switch 2 is going
they
to
have
be.
time.
I think Switch 2 is going to be really successful.
And back to what you were saying about the Xbox app being on other systems, there's rumors that that's going to be on the next Nintendo system.
I
would
hope
love
it
to
is.
see that. I would love to see that.
I really
And
hope so.
we should take a moment of silence for the BattleNet app, guys. It's going to go away. It's been official. Microsoft says gone, which is good. You need a unified system now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird not having BNet anymore. Especially you and I. We've been old time Blizzard fans for a
My
long
God,
time.
man. When did that hit?
That was years ago, right?
So, Warcraft 2
Yeah, I think it was Warcraft 2, right?
Warcraft 2 had, when it was originally released, no. But they did a re-release, which was the BattleNet edition. I have it like right over there.
Yeah.
Dude, that...
That was before 2000, if I remember
Oh,
right.
hell
Remember,
yeah.
2000
Yeah, dude, for
Yeah.
sure. I'm thinking like
2004 is when
1990...
WoW was released.
Let's see. Hold on. Let's
Do
see.
our homework, guys.
First BattleNet game.
Man, it's
Okay.
going to be weird.
BattleNet was formally introduced on
been the
December 31st, 1996, with the
Yeah.
release of Diablo.
Ah, yeah.
Okay,
Man. That's going to be
that's
so many years it's lasted.
that's sad. That's kind of sad.
But it makes sense.
It does.
By the way, Diablo 4 is actually on Steam. I don't know if you knew that. But You could actually buy it on Steam.
Yeah,
which is weird. I didn't understand that. Like, but you know, they can make money on there too, right? So.
Yeah, I don't know. I destroyed that, man. I had a blast with that.
Did Steven get it? Because I know he actually really liked Diablo 3,
well,
right?
it's not on Switch. He only plays.
Right, it's on Switch.
Yeah,
come on, Steven.
He bought his son. He bought his son a PlayStation 5, and he's laughing. It was like his son only plays like a couple of like games on the Switch, and then he plays a lot of stuff on tablets and stuff. And it was funny because in the last podcast we were talking about that, and I was like, "But how old is he?" And he's like, "Oh, he's 6 years old." I'm like, "Dude, what were you playing?" When I was 6 years old, I was playing like RPGs and like all kinds of stuff.
Oh, that's funny.
But it's true. Like our society is changing. You know, like
they have a shorter attention span. I know everyone wants things quick. They don't want to. It's like that's another podcast we have to do eventually. Is MMOs? Why are these MMOs struggling? Is because I think gamers have changed. They want instant gratification. They don't want It's just like all these new MMOs. None of them have. Really stuck. I mean, New World did good, but its retention is not. When people are still playing original EverQuest and Ultima.
Yeah,
Ultima was called online, and stuff like that. And WoW's still kicking.
Yeah,
still doing good.
Yeah,
but those type of games, just if they were released today, probably would go belly up pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah. I think but you said it, man. I think it's like, it's different tastes now. Like people have
to blame, right?
Well, that's it.
Really see it,
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. So, anyways, I think it's going to be really, really, really interesting to see the next few years. I will be shocked if Sony does announce a portable. I would be shocked. I would be absolutely shocked if they were to do that. I'd be like, "Are you like really?" But I am expecting Nintendo, like they have directs coming up, eh?
Yeah, they do.
I'm expecting soon that we'll get the announcement of the next Switch, because what games, I mean, I'm not Steven, so I'm not like, Nintendo fanboy number one here. So I don't know what the release schedule is, but I think all the heavy hitters are already out.
Yeah. They don't got much. They don't have. I don't think they have a lot of. I think they'll have a few more games, but Metroid Prime 4, I'm gonna say is gonna be like a launch title.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's too late now. I mean, they might release it, but it's been they've kind of touched on it a little bit. But that's a very big series in the West. I've never been a Metroid fan myself, even back in NES days. It just wasn't my jam.
That series is one of the most. How do I say this? Like, overblown. I love Metroid, okay? But as a series, people put on weird glasses here because, like you just said, Metroid Prime, okay? So here, let's take out our trusty phone here, and I'm going to show you something. Here.
You guys in the comments while he's looking, we'd love to hear your thoughts on the possibility of a PlayStation handheld. Think it's going to happen, and if it does, will it be a success? Those are questions.
How many copies did Metroid Prime sell on the GameCube?
It had to have sold at least 3 million. Or am I being too generous?
2.8.
Well, I was close, so a little too generous, but very close.
But you get what I'm saying, though? Like, that's not 14 million.
No,
that's not
even remotely close.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, when people are like, "Oh yeah, that's a huge system seller," is it?
I don't think so.
Exactly.
Because remember, Metroid's not big in Japan. So it never has been.
Exactly. And Metroid Dread is the best-selling ever on the Switch, which is like one of the best-selling systems of all time, and it sold 3.04 million.
Yeah.
So
I would love to see if it is if it's a launch. I don't know. Would they ever be a launch game?
Well, it could be a launch game. I think it could be a launch game. I just don't think.
See, it's going to bring in the numbers.
Yeah, well, exactly.
It might sell over 1 million. Isn't technically 1 million the threshold that developers like? Okay, 1 million, you make your money back.
So. That depends. That was years ago.
It's true.
Now,
yeah, it's true.
Now, like the games, I'm not sure if what's behind us is Starfield.
But I had to play that, by the way. I had to play that.
But like Starfield, like it's ridiculous. It has to sell like 25 million copies in order to break
Yeah.
even, type of thing.
Yeah,
Where
exactly.
that's just stupid. Like
Exactly,
at
and
that point. But anyways, no,
that's
but
why.
the Metroid thing I think is interesting, man. I do think that's interesting because I do think Metroid will be a launch title. I actually do. I think it
Yeah,
will
I
be
do
a
too.
launch title. I just don't think it's like you might buy a system for Metroid, but I don't think it will be enough alone. If that's the only big tentpole they released, I don't know about that because it has a lot of things going against it. Number one is part 4.
Yes.
That's not a good thing when you think of like the masses. How many people realistically have played Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3? A million? Maybe? 500,000? 700,000? That's not enough to, generate. But again, I say all of this. Look at Zelda. So Zelda's always been a huge seller, but it's no Mario, right? It's no Pokemon.
No.
But look at it now, right? So
Oh, yeah. Reinvented itself.
exactly.
It's
So
done
who's
extremely
to
well.
say they don't do the exact same thing with Metroid? Right? Like
Yeah,
it's
it might.
totally and Metroid Prime 4 they ditched that and they just, Metroid blah.
It will be interesting because, like I said, back to Power World, survival games are the hot ticket right now, so they're on all the rage. So it'd be kind of interesting. And I know Zelda's kind of a little dabble. You have crafting, so it has some survival elements kind of thrown out into this open world, and you do your own thing, which is awesome. But we'll see. We'll see. I would love to see her used in a new light. Also focus more on story, but Metroid's never been much of a story, right? It's always kind of like bits and parts, and that's a whole Metroidvania kind of thing. You stumble across this little recording, and okay, cool, you learn about this, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I would love to see what people think is the current Metroid Prime formula. Is it still going to work today compared to? There's a lot of great shooters out there, and I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I've never been a fan of Metroid, but even back, like I said, in the NES days, it's just, I don't know. It was never my thing. I don't like the whole back and forth crap. It gets tedious after a while.
Because what I would do, personally, if we could, I would release your next 3D Mario and Metroid as your launch title. That way you get the game that appeals to everyone, and you get the other game. I
agree 100%.
That would be badass. And the reality right now is like we're due. Like we're due for another 3D Mario.
Yep.
And that we've heard nothing. So I think did they announce a new direct?
Yeah, well they've been teasing. There's a new if you look on Twitter, there's a little logo teaser they're doing, and the rumor has I think it's supposed to be this week or no next week or the week after, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, they've been kind of doing little hints and teasers online, and that's an interesting thing because that's what killed the E3. Like E3's officially dead, guys, as of last year, which is that's how a lot of us met in real. We knew each other before E3, but we had met each other. I think it's still on YouTube, our videos.
Yeah, of course, for sure.
Yeah.
Memories.
Memories. But E3 is officially dead, and it's an outdated format, right?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, and it's funny,
it's little old school though.
I know. I miss that. Like, I mean, we had good memories. Like, I went to see the baseball game and everything. Like,
oh yeah, Steve. Now you remember Steven? And then did he buy a jersey and hat? He went all out.
Oh
man.
yeah.
If I lived in LA, I would have season tickets for this and that.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you remember, guys, I told you it was 2010. I think it was the year, or something like that. I said in the next 5 years, the Kings are going to go to the Stanley Cup, and went. And remember what happened? A few years later, they did it in 2012. Man, I was just bullshitting at the time, but they were a young and upcoming team, and I said, okay, it's possible. Steven's like, he's a true hockey guru, so I'm sure he laughed at the time. I don't know if he did or not. I can't remember, but yeah.
Oh God, this is hysterical. I can't wait for Steven. He is gonna laugh so much at this video. All right, we should probably wrap this up anyway.
Yes.
So listen, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed. Tim was great. We should definitely do this again.
Oh, yes.
This time works perfectly for me too. So if it works for you,
Yeah,
awesome.
we can do it. We try to do it at least once or twice a month. We'll see, and we come up with different themes. Steven and Jared does their type of thing. The Canadian gamer is awesome. So yeah, we're going to do a little bit different, but we still tie into all of it. And one of these days, we got to get all three of us on the screen at the same time.
Yeah, well, the only complication with that is the only day that Steven is free is on a Wednesday, and you and I have like big boy jobs, so yeah, it's a little difficult. But anyways, all right, people. So we're gonna wrap this up. Just want to say thank you, Tim. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Later, guys.